Hello again, it's Gary Gilbert, Principal of Real Estate Auction Options. Every day I get asked pretty much the same questions about the auction process. How does it work? Let's answer those questions now. Well, the person that would consider a luxury real estate auction is probably someone that's had their property listed for an extended period of time. They may have had few, if any, offers. They probably had contingencies. They probably fell through. So the bottom line is that someone would like to take control of the sales process. They'd like to be in control by using a date certain event instead of buyers being in control. That's typically going to be the person that would want to use our services. A candidate for a luxury real estate auction is pretty much consistent with what I see every day. Typically, they're not going to be a distressed seller. They don't have to sell. There's not maybe a lot of debt on the property. Usually the reasons that they're trying to sell this asset is they're moving, they're downsizing, they may be doing just some simple asset allocation, or there may be some health issues. And this one asset is the one thing that's really keeping them from closing a certain chapter of their life. So that's going to be the ideal candidate that we would see. Well, for some of the lower end properties, maybe a bank auction or something like that, yes, there are distress situations there. But at the level that we play at, the luxury level, most of these properties are not distressed. Let's think about this. Let's think about the Barrett-Jackson car auction in Phoenix, or let's think about an art auction or whatnot. How do those people sell that asset? Typically, they don't put an ad in the paper or whatnot. Typically, they do an auction. That auction creates urgency and excitement and forces these affluent people to react. So, therefore, the lack of the stigma of distress. There's really a couple of types of auctions. There's auction with reserve, it's called a reserve auction, and there's what's called an absolute auction, which means selling to the highest bidder regardless of price. Under the reserve umbrella, we have what's called just a non-published reserve, and then we have what's called a published reserve or a published minimum reserve. And then, of course, the absolute auction is selling to the highest bidder regardless of price. For most firms, it's going to be pretty standard. We're going to use in our industry what we call a buyer's premium. A buyer's premium is simply an amount that the high bidder pays above and beyond their high bid price. It's a percentage. It's typically 8 to 10%. And so, again, it varies by firm, but for the most part, the buyer's premium is used to fund the commission for the listing broker and the buying broker, if applicable. And then the remainder is how the real estate auction company is paid. The seller's total commission is usually they're funding the advertising and the marketing of the event up front in advance, and that usually is their total commission. Well, really, you could do like most people do. You could go out and do a search on the web and find a handful of players that play at this level. You could give calls to them, do research. They might come out to see you. It's a fairly lengthy interview process. Or really what you could do is you could just contact someone like us at Real Estate Auction Options. We're familiar with all of the firms, all their business models, the pros and cons of each, and we would just simply look at your situation and make a recommendation as to who we think the best firm suited for your needs might be. You can learn more by calling me directly. My number is 404-784-5759. That's my direct line. Or feel free to visit our website. It's realestateauctionoptions.com.